and welcome to Finally Fabulous with me, Kate. Finally Fabulous is a podcast that shines a light on some incredible women as they face adversity, challenge the status quo, and take risks. And to embrace what we like to call their fuck it moment to rekindle the joy back into their lives. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Natasha. Hello, Natasha.
Hello.
Natasha and I have known each other for about 7 years.
Yes, long time now.
Yeah. From the moment we met, we absolutely clicked, and we've just kind of followed each other's life's journeys and kept in touch along the way. Natasha is passionate about creating opportunities for young people, especially those from deprived backgrounds. And you're also really believe in self-awareness and self-belief and navigating your life through sideways steps, not just in life, but in work as well. But more than that, I just absolutely love your authenticity, your wonderful big heart, and your natural inclusivity. So really thrilled today to have you on the podcast, Natasha.
Thank you, Kate.
Excited for the chat.
Such kind words. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
So we have so much to get through. Cards at the ready.
Let's go.
So your first fuck it moment, and there have been several, and it's interesting that quite a few of our women who we've had on the podcast do have not just one, but like several. It's all about choosing self-awareness and really looking at external success into internal growth. And for me, what really struck me from your story was that for you, this started in your 20s. And there's a story around how you went, stop, let me just check on what's happening and let me get to know me better.
Yeah. So, yes. And it's actually a personal story that's intertwined with professional, right? Because I think we have these moments in life where you kind of feel restless and you feel like the status quo isn't working for you anymore, but you're also really scared about how to move forward. And I had one of those moments that was happening both in my professional and my personal life at the same time. And it was really the first time that I'd had a moment like that. So it was quite terrifying, actually, because I didn't really trust myself. I didn't know how to move through that moment. And so on my personal life, I had done exactly what I said I wouldn't do. And I'd met a Scottish man. I always swore, I grew up in Scotland, so I knew Scottish men, and I always swore I would never marry a Scottish man. I moved to London and I met one in a pub in Notting Hill. And I thought,
it's ironic that you moved from Scotland to London to meet a Scottish man.
I mean, that's even worse. So, but you know, he swept me off my feet, and I just knew instantly. I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, "This is the guy that I'm going to marry," and this was like on the second date, you know, which was unheard of for me. Yeah. But I knew also I was going to fuck it up, and so I actually took myself off to therapy. And I didn't grow up with, my father wasn't around when I was growing up, so I didn't really have, you know, a sort of strong role model of, you know, what a great relationship was. And I definitely felt that I had behavioral traits that I had started to notice that I wanted to get rid of. And at the same time, I was actually working at L'Oreal at the time, and, you know, just a fantastic place to work, and, you know, an amazing opportunity to be really entrepreneurial. But I was also feeling at that point in time, a lot of the creative that was coming to the UK in L'Oreal was actually coming from Paris. So there was very little sort of creative wiggle room, if you like. And I was starting to increasingly feel this like need to be more creative. Just as a sort of double click into that for a moment. When I was at secondary school, I had sort of two paths that I wanted to take. One was artistic and the other was law. Very different. And I come from a working class family, and no one in my family had any idea of what career you could do with art. So art got ditched. And I went to law school and spent 4 years doing law, and then realized at the end of it, oh my gosh, I really don't want to be a lawyer. So I guess I had gone to university and then kind of gone straight into career. And this creative part of me that I sort of buried, just was sort of knocking at the door and like, oh, I want to do
bubbling
more.
away.
Yeah, exactly. I want to do more creative stuff. And I think because I was in therapy, it was amazing because, you know, it actually helped me to not only deal with the personal side, but also the professional side, and gave me the confidence to realize that actually you can create your own destiny. It's okay. Like, trust yourself and take the next step. And so that's what I did. And, you know, I spent quite a few years. I mean, I was probably going to see this amazing woman for, you know, maybe about 2 or 3 years. And she really helped me through that transitional phase. And I started to learn that, you know, I could be the agent of change.
That is so powerful. But I also think it's really brave and really courageous for you, because loads of people in their 20s would be running away from self-reflection, and you actually highlighted it in yourself and, you know, went towards it. You realized that so early.
Yeah.
So that whole thing was so brave and so courageous at that time.
You can change, you know, a lot of how you react to things and how you respond to things. You can't change what's coming at you, but you can absolutely change and be the author of how you respond to that. I'd probably say that was my first fuck it moment, because I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. But what have I got to lose?
Yeah, nothing to lose. And presumably your husband was willing to wait?
Yes.
Because he is your husband now.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
I'd like to marry you, but first I'm just going to make sure I know myself. So that kind of really, when we talked about it before, self-awareness really became the foundation for your leadership toolkit. So then, you know, when you moved into a really good job, but you faced burnout through that job, you were then better equipped and better able to deal with everything that was thrown at you, which also, from what you were saying just a minute ago about, you know, facing life and what comes along, is like, it does build up this resilience.
Totally.
And it does add a bit of a layer of self-protection.
Yes, it does.
As well, doesn't it?
It does. And I think that, you know, people often think that your career should just be, you know, linear like this, and you should always be going up. But actually, life isn't like that. You know, different things will happen to you in your life. You know, I came to motherhood quite late in life. You know, I had my first child when I was 40, and so, you know, I knew then that everybody, you know, everyone to themselves, people have different ways of being. But I knew for me at that point in time in my life, I was doing a lot of international work with brands, and I was traveling all over the world and, you know, doing phenomenal branded entertainment campaigns. But I also knew that wasn't the kind of mother that I wanted to be. Like, I wanted to be present. I wanted to be a career mom, because I felt like I've worked all this time, right? Like, why would I just stop working? That's not, you know, we were all kind of believed or bought into this myth of, like, you know, the post 9 to 5, you know, you can have it all. You can be amazing. You can be this amazing career woman, and you can be a gorgeous, sexy wife, and you can be a phenomenal mom who bakes the cookies and da-da-da. And the reality of it is you absolutely cannot.
I think I was the same, actually. It's interesting you say, because we're similar ages, and it was really important to me, well, to actually be authentic to what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted to be independent, even though I was married. Obviously, I wanted to still be independent and have that kind of career for me.
Yeah.
But I did juggle it with looking after Alice at the same time. I still wanted to be present with her as well. My mum was a single working mother, and for many years, and managed her own businesses and everything. And I think it was just the norm for me. It was just like, okay, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's so funny you should say that, because I also grew up in like a single parent household. And so for me, like, being independent was just like non-negotiable. I actually don't really know it was just never in the realms of reality for me that I wouldn't be working, earning my own money, making my own decisions. You know, I feel like I've had to work really hard to get to where I've gotten to. I look at the cultural landscape now, and generations change things, right? But being a woman and wanting to be in leadership, and also being a woman of color was quite difficult, was quite a difficult trajectory. And so I've always felt that I had to do double the amount of work to prove myself. And that also comes from a place of, I recognize, like internal sort of, what do you call it? Self-limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And so how that has manifested itself over the years in my personal life, as you were sharing, is I've probably overworked, right? So I would go and I'd do my shift, my time at work, come home, cook, help out, get the kids to bed, etc., and then sit down and do another hour or another 2 hours of work.
Yeah.
And that hasn't always been great relationship wise as well. So you have moments where you do have to sort of take stock and recognize what you've achieved, and also recognize when maybe it's time to just back off a little and pivot back to the point. But you build up a bit of a toolkit of self-awareness so that you know when to lean in and really sprint, but then also when you need to pull back. And that has taken me a while to really to develop that toolkit, and also to have that self-awareness. And that I think the self-awareness comes with self-belief and confidence. And it's when those two things have, overlapped, that it's given me the belief that actually, okay, it's okay to take my foot off the gas, because actually
I've done enough.
I believe in myself, I know I can do this. I'm not just faking it until someone, finds out.
And the way you described to me before was this kind of the kind of balance of being successful, but it has to be sustainable.
Yes.
And when the burnout kind of happens, when it's not, when it's unsustainable, and you've just pushed yourself too much.
To go back to that sort of burnout experience, I had an amazing time being part of the story of the National Citizen Service, NCS.
Yeah.
It was an incredible startup funded by government, fully funded by government, with really, an amazing mission to help young people find a sense of agency, develop skills for life, and then actually, make a difference in their community. And the burnout really came from a good place of, wanting to prove the value of marketing within that organization, and also to the Treasury, who were spending money on it. And so therefore, not allowing any mistakes to happen and trying to carry the team. And I did make mistakes along the way, but it almost became a sort of, there was just no room for error. What I learned from that experience was like, actually, that is not a great place, right? Because all growth comes from failing. And if you have a no-fail culture, not only am I doing a disservice to myself, but I'm also doing a disservice to all the people who are working into me, because I'm not giving them the breathing space to be able to fail and learn from that and expand and grow. And we were doing an incredible amount of volume of work that, was overwhelming. And so I really learned, a lot from that. And and so I came away from that experience thinking, I can be a better, first of all, I need to not manage people. I need to have a break from managing people, because this has been a lot. And, I've still got 2 young children, and that's a lot. But it also made me reflect on, how could I be a better leader? How can I, I want to help people to be the very best version of themselves that they can be. That's the leader I aspire to be with the teams that I work with. And I sort of let myself down a bit. I didn't feel like I had acted with integrity, not from a bad place, from a good place.
No.
But it really made me reflect on how I wanted to evolve as a leader.
I think it really was a lot. And whilst I get that you felt like you'd let yourself down, I think you should also be kind to yourself that you were actually dealing with all that at the same time.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank goodness you made your fuck it moment and going, okay, no, let's do something else. I'm not going to manage people. And, then your sidestep, really, wasn't it? You just went, you don't have to always feel like to progress your career has to be up. It can be across.
Yes.
And it could even be down, because it doesn't matter. You can go down to relearn and go up again. That's so important that we remember that.
Exactly. And I think, I get asked a lot about career advice from people. And I genuinely think, I haven't, I definitely look back and I think, there's things that I could have done differently. But I do think what I have done is I've chosen to do things that I felt really passionate about and that I knew that I would love. And so when I had the realization, it took me a while to sort of admit that to myself, no, it's time to move on. And then when I did get ready to move on, I interviewed in a few different places. And one of those places was Google. And I went to meet with the Google team, or the person who would be my boss. And the moment I walked into that building, I was like, this is it. This is it. I think I do have quite a good sense of EQ, right? And I do have a sense of like where I feel connected. And the thing I loved about Google was I loved the quirkiness, like just the little quirky touches of robots, giant robots that are made out of grass, and like carpets that were shag pile carpets and lion's head seats. I mean, it's just so random but fun. I love the fun part of it, but also I just love the fact that I walked into this office and I saw people of every age, every color, every nationality. I mean, it was like going to the United Nations of like digital university, you know? And I just thought, this is the place that I want to be. And actually there's one important detail that I've missed that I should have shared with you too, which is that in the previous role, I had wanted to be CMO, and the MD at the time told me, you're not going to get the job because you don't have enough sales experience. And I thought, okay, well, you know, if that's the situation, then good feedback. I'll take that feedback on board. Thank you. So that sort of spurred me on to, okay, well, if that's a gap in my portfolio, in my CV, then I'm going to go get those skills, right? And for me, I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to try and do that in a place like Google, right? Like at the pointiest edge of like digital innovation and culture. That's where I want to be. And luckily for me, they thought, we want you to be here too, which was, thank God. And I loved it. I embraced it. And it's just been the most amazing experience. And so there you go. I went from managing a team of 35 to managing no one and being what we call an individual contributor. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I thought, you know what? I think I'm not giving this company as much as I could offer, because I know that I've got more to offer.
Really good.
So,
as a leader.
Actually, I think I could be a manager here. I'd like to, you know, go down that track and try to get a role that's a managerial role.
It's really rewarding to bring people on and mentor them and bring them up. But along the way, you know, we've all been hit with imposter syndrome, sadly. And it's such a shame for me that it's still so prevalent, but it's a good thing that we're talking about it. And it's kind of, you know, learning the tools to really silence that self-doubt. And you have a big advocacy for self-awareness, as we're talking about, and self-belief and having the confidence in yourself. And you talked to me before about this toolkit that you have that helps you, that you learnt about at a conference as well. What came to you during a conference?
I was at Advertising Week, and this must be like maybe 6 years ago or 7 years ago. And our then head of Google marketing, Nishma Rob, was on stage, and she was talking. And I just happened to, I think I'd been at a session before, and then I stayed on. And she was talking about imposter syndrome. And as she talked about it, I thought, my God, that's me. I have that. And no one had ever given a name to this before. And I was like, honestly, it was like a giant light bulb moment for me. And
you must have been surrounded by women who were doing the same.
Yeah,
you must have been surrounded by people going, oh, that's what it is.
Okay. It's not me just going mad, right? And like,
I mean, we might be going mad also, but you know.
That's a whole different topic. So I had actually had a bit of a realization before that, but no one had given it this name, right? So that was the first time, and I was like, wow. And so I have, as you said, built up a toolkit, right? I've learned how to deal with imposter syndrome. I mean, I think also there's a thing that comes with age, right? Also, and the confidence of like, I think confidence is about consistently putting yourself into situations that make you feel really uncomfortable, and almost you're at the edge of like, holy shit, what happens if I don't deliver on this? You know, it's all going to go tits up.
Because and your stomach is like going,
right, because it's in those moments that you
Mm,
grow, right? And then
yeah,
when you have proven to yourself so many times through those moments, actually, I've got this. Okay. I might not
yeah.
know when I go into it, but I can work this out, then that I think also is a huge way of dealing with imposter syndrome. So that's one thing.
Mm,
But the toolkit that I have is I have a range of different things that I've sort of built up. One, daily meditation. I know that if
mm.
I get out of bed and I do just even 10 minutes of meditation, I have a completely different day to the day that I have when I don't do that.
Wow, that's interesting. So do you do that in a quiet place? Do you take yourself away?
Yes.
Or is it literally before you get out of bed?
I get up before the family so that I can have half an
Okay.
hour, ideally, or 45 minutes, because I know I can get showered and stuff and do all of that. But then I have like 15 minutes where I'll do
Mm-hmm.
quiet time for me, and that's my 10 minutes meditation. And then also what I've added into the mix recently is journaling. Honestly, it has been a game changer for me. So I religiously do that before I go to bed at night. It's the last thing that I do. Sorry, it's not kissing my husband, but that's the last thing that I do. And those two things have been really, game changers for me. Obviously, exercise. I think, I really love being outside. And so if I can't get exercise because things are hectic or, I'm not feeling great or whatever, like just a walk outside and,
Yeah.
feeling being sort of surrounded by nature is really helpful.
So important for me as well. And this morning I was like, okay, I'm preparing for this, got some meetings, like that kind of stuff. My mate sent me a text going, walk? And I was like, yes,
Yes.
let's forget all of that. Let's go for a walk.
And just
Felt
the
so much
little
better.
tiny things. Like I'm loving on the street where I live, there's all these beautiful blossom trees
Oh, gorgeous.
and color actually is another thing that really brightens my, I know I'm wearing navy
Mm,
blue today. But I love color in my life. Like,
mm,
yellow is probably my favorite color. Orange, bright pinks, lilac is another favorite color. So color really energizes me a
mm,
lot. And then visualization. And so
mm.
visualization is probably the first thing that I had in my toolkit. So around the age, I think it was actually around the age of about 25, I went to do a visualization workshop. And ever since then, every single interview, pitch, big presentation that I've done, I always visualize myself doing it because you can trick your brain into believing that you've been in that situation before.
That sounds really, really, really brilliant. Actually, it's like so you kind of like you put yourself into the moment.
Yeah. So I open a book and in the book is like a video of the day. And so I
Okay.
picture myself getting out of bed. I picture myself what I'm going to wear that day. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to wear. Then I picture myself wearing what I'm wearing, doing what I'm doing. So everything has to then follow that flow, right? So then
Okay.
it's like, so hopefully then nothing goes wrong with the outfit or whatever, but everything then follows that flow. And I'll do it sometimes like almost in a meditative state, but quite often I'll do it when
Mm-hmm.
I'm in bed about to go to sleep. And I really love that sort of, that sort of liminal space when you're kind of
Yeah.
snoozy and drowsy because you just sort of float through it. And it's, but yeah, it's really, it's.
So when you visualize it, are you looking at you?
Yes, I'm
Or
watching
are you
me.
looking out of you? So you're watching yourself.
I'm watching me doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and
Interesting.
I'm like, as an observer, I'm watching me and
Yes.
going, wow, that's great. Just like I'm experiencing me
Yeah.
doing the thing that I'm going to go on and do. And I guess now they would call that, and I think like there's tons of YouTube videos about it and it's all sort of much more about manifesting, etc. And, you said something at the top end of this where you were talking about being kind to yourself. And
Yeah.
honestly, that is one of the things that the gratitude journal has taught me.
Mm.
I think I'm quite a what's the word? I suppose I think I sort of veer more on like you said, like, positivity, inclusiveness, all that sort of thing, right? That's my sort of natural, I'm a yellow type of person, a
Yeah.
very definite red streak of like, I like to get shit done. I like to be responsible. I like to keep things moving and directional. The way that I often talk to myself in my head is that I'm very red. So when
Okay.
I'm read, it's like, you haven't done this and you should have done that. And this person's relying on you for that. And da, 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 da. It's like, honestly, I've got these mental lists of things that I haven't done.
Like a massive hammer,
Yeah,
like banging
just
on.
like constant audit running in the background of everything that
Little list.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it's like. And so what this journal has taught me to do is to be really kind and talk to myself like one of my girlfriends would, and just, recognize that, my God, you are enough, and look at everything that you are doing. And you fucking rock, actually,
Yeah,
and I don't
do
feel
rock.
like that all the time, but it's really nice to be able to access a part of my brain that recognizes that actually there are times just to recognize how far you've come. And yes, there's so much more that I want to do, but also just to be really grateful for this moment and who I am in this moment.
That's really fantastic to hear that. And I think I need to carve out a little space in my head that also tells me that along the way, especially when I'm outside in nature as well. Isn't it? The combination of being in nature and hearing that to myself would really help a lot.
It's a game changer, right? I mean, I call it like stepping over turds. It's easy to just go, oh, well, that's that done. Right, what's next? And like that thing, that giant pile of poo that you've just stepped over, just take a moment to look back at that and go, well, that was a shit show, but I managed. I got through it.
I love that. That's brilliant. Brilliant analogy. That sounds good. So that sounds like a pretty good toolkit for me. And the only other thing you mentioned to me before was about reframing fear into curiosity.
Yes.
That sounds really interesting as well. And
this is a really live one, right? Because the pace at which AI is changing everything around us, and especially in, I wanted to be at Google, I wanted to be at the heart of innovation, and boy, am I at the heart of innovation. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. But, we're literally almost on a daily basis, there's a new tool that's released internally and da-da-da-da. And so I had to have a pivot. I had a pivot moment where I was like, you know what? This is a huge privilege to be here at this company in this moment. You are someone who loves learning and growth, and you're a really curious-minded person. If you reframe this from it's happening to me to actually this is something that I'm going to love learning about and being really curious and playing, being playful, finding some joy in the moment, growth and playfulness in the moment, then, you're going to enjoy this so much more.
Yeah. And it's achievable. Like all of a sudden you can, it's not scary anymore.
Yeah,
it's exactly. Like you say, it's curious.
Yeah. And
you can be curious with it.
Yeah. There's also that dynamic of, we all have these internal monologues, don't we? Of like, oh my God, am I too old to learn? Am I can I go at the same pace? Is this going to happen to me? Blah, blah, blah. And the moment that I was just like, get rid of all that shit.
Get rid of that.
Get rid of all of that. Stop with all of that. Go back to who are you? What do you know to be true about what you love? And I'm so curious. I love learning. I love getting to know people, learning new things, making connections. Then I was like, this is squarely in your swim lane,
Yeah, this is definitely for me.
Yeah.
I did have it right after all. But yeah, well, there's all of that kind of navigating the bias and navigating it pragmatically. And, there's all this, by being a woman, just naturally we are treated differently. We have to work harder. Those, when you've mentioned to me before about ideas just being accredited to your male colleagues, and it's like, just when is that going to stop, all that stuff?
Yeah. Yes, I've been in, I've been in rooms where I've said something and then, 3 sentences later, a man has said the same thing and everyone is like, oh, isn't it fantastic what so-and-so just said? And I'm like, hang on a minute, I think I said that first.
You just kind of go, am I here? I'm like, hello.
And I've lived through situations where, customers, leaders or whatever have been entirely inappropriate actually as well, and thankfully I think there's a lot more awareness now around what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, also from male allies, right? A lot of male allies now understand. and would be the first ones actually to call out behavior that they don't feel comfortable with. So yeah, I've loved that sort of generational shift of and sort of seeing, you know, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. I think it's phenomenal. I love it. I do think that I won't go too deep into this rabbit hole, but I do worry at the moment that women's rights are under attack more than they ever have been.
It does feel like it's kind of going a bit in a circle again. And I'm like, why is that? What's happening? Why is that gone backwards instead of forwards?
Yes. And of course, I'm raising 2 young girls that I, you know, will hope will be responsible citizens and will want to be change makers and, you know, be the next generation. But it's also part of my responsibility to help that next generation. And I'm sort of, you know, playing around with the idea of like, what more can I do?
Yeah, I've really been feeling the same as well, actually. And I really hope that this podcast will really help, you know, to shine a light on some of those issues.
Yeah.
Just also by shining light on people like you who are telling your stories and helping to kind of normalize some of the stuff that we think is just about us.
Exactly.
And also call out the things which really aren't okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's okay to stand up for yourself and believe in yourself and have the confidence.
There's a lot of research about the bias that exists in work environments where men and women find women who are confident and who articulate their self-worth and value, you know, really to be not very attractive, you know,
right.
And that sort of, you know,
like a threat.
Yes, exactly, a threat. And, you know, they, you know, won't necessarily be thinking about them for promotion and stuff like that. So you know, there's a lot of work still to be done, I think.
Another thing about being a woman, of course, is the menopause.
Oh, yes.
Which even that has men in it, which is annoying.
That's so funny. I've never thought about it like that. That's brilliant.
Yes. So we have just had to learn so much. I mean, there's just so many symptoms coming out. I think there's like 300 and something. I learned about a couple more this week that I didn't even know about. And, you know, it's really hard to navigate when you're entering the menopause, perimenopause. You don't know when it's coming. We're all different. There's no rhyme or reason around it. And so many things. And it's hard. It's like we're working at full pelt.
Yeah.
And then along comes the menopause and we have to deal with that as well.
Yeah. And it just knocks you sideways, right? Like, all of a sudden I turned into this person that I was like, I don't even know who this person is. Like I was so, first of all, I was floored, exhausted. And then I was really grumpy, and with my husband, with my daughters, you know, grumpy at having to come home and cook, grumpy because I was tired, and I just didn't really know what to do. And, you know, God love our mothers, you know, they didn't really come from the generation where they discussed any of this. So, you know, there was no sort of generational kind of, you know, handing down of the book of here's how you cope with it. Nothing. And then when you talk to the doctors about it, I mean, I'm lucky that I have an older sister. So my older sister went through it first. And so she just talked to me a little bit about, you know, what was going on with her. And that was before it was even happening to me. So when it started happening, I was like, okay, I'm going to do what she did. So the first thing I did was tried patches. And then, you know, when the patches just weren't even touching the sides anymore, they were fine for a while. But when they weren't touching the sides and I went back to the doctor was like, well, that's it, you know, like just get on with it. You know, that's all that we can do. And I thought, but I can't survive like this. You know, I can't this is not tenable. I can't do my job like this. I can't be a mother like this. I can't be a wife like this. I can't be a daughter. You know, I just can't. This is me at 50%. Versus I want to be 100% me, you know?
Yeah, all the time, every day, not just some days.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, some days we can't naturally be 100%, of course, but that, you know, we want to esteem to be there.
Exactly.
And for me, it was like the anxiety. I just felt like I was going on stage in front of 3,000 people every morning. I was 100%. Like, you know, my God, it's like my heart was just like beating out of my chest.
I know.
I was like, this is ridiculous. And then just not sleeping. So just lying awake going, okay, this is the allocated time for sleep. You know, I need to sleep in this time. Otherwise, what's going to happen during the day?
And that's the thing, right? Everybody is so individual. Like I didn't have the sleep thing. I just had the like bone tiredness, you know, when you're like tired all the way through to your bones. That's what it felt like for me. And I didn't have sweats. My sister had mad sweats. Like she would literally be like, you know, on the train, taking all of the layers off until she was in a t-shirt in like Scotland in the winter, you know. A, there is no clear route to being diagnosed, and B, there's, even when you are, you know that you have it, there's no clear route to what is going to work for you. So you have this giant period of testing and trialing everything until you find your new you. And like you said, that's not 100%. No one's 100% every day, but at least to be like 90%, 85%.
Yeah, I can get up and I can go, and you know, and it still have, you know, brain fog and everything during the day. That still comes, even though I'm on HRT and everything. But you feel like there's a chance that you can function today, as opposed to
you can perform at the level that you're expected to perform, right? Whereas, you know, there'd be times when I would just be like, by 3 o'clock, I would literally be like, I need to go and sit in the toilet because I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. Or I'd be like, you know, double shots of coffee just because I was like, I need to sort of look like I'm not going to fall asleep in this meeting. And you're just like, you know, tired.
Been there. It's like a jet lag, isn't it? It just suddenly hits you.
And when it hits you, it descends as well. And it's like you said, it's like flying a plane through fog. You're trying to get to where you know you need to get somewhere, but you can't see where you're going. And you're like, and you're going quite fast as well. So it's really quite scary.
They're very scary. And people are looking at you, waiting for the answer. You're like, I can't even remember why I'm here, let alone what the word I need to say.
I don't know what the word is. I know what I want to say, but I can't even find the word in my head right now. I know the memory drawers don't work in the same way as well. So, but, you know, I think when you're a working mom and, you know, you don't always have the time to do the workouts and the things that, you know, so that's why I do the walks if I can't do the workout. But I'm really conscious of that too, that like, you know, there are things that I can take, there's things that I can do that are going to help me with that. So
reclaiming your body and your body, like actually listening to your body now. And because we've been focused on our inside our body, and then it's like, okay, actually the physical strength of our body is also important. What did you have to say to, you know, when you said fuck it in order to prioritize yourself? It's like, you know, what was it, what was happening where you were like, I've just got to do this now?
I think it was, so there was that, but that was, I don't know if that was so much of a fuck it moment. That was just a holy shit, what's happening to me moment that just sort of, you know, just kind of went like this. And so I've just been coping with that and trying lots of different things to sort of, you know, get through that. The fuck it moment was the just let go of all these limiting self-beliefs. And just, you know, forget about how you think you should be or how others might perceive you. Just get rid of all of that and just remember who you are and what is true, what is your true DNA, right? And then when I went back to who I know I am and reconnected with that person, then I was just like, okay, I can do this. And then the toolkit stuff is just, honestly, it's just taken my energy to different, and when I say energy, I don't mean physical energy. I just mean sort of like emotional energy to a different space. And so
the toolkit and like really like working on yourself, with yourself. Really.
You know, you don't always need that forward momentum. Sometimes you just need to enjoy being in a moment, playing, discovering, and that's growth. Growth isn't always about moving forward. Growth can be expansive and, you know, learning and being in this moment.
Gosh, that's so important. That's so critical, isn't it? It's just like, actually just look at where you are now. And actually, where you are now, did you miss that thing over there because you were so busy looking forward? You actually missed this little thing over here that's actually could blossom into something quite significant.
It's kind of part of your DNA. You're that type of person or you're not. And if you're that type of person, you can feel like forward dynamism is about where your energy should always be on that. But actually, I think there's a lot to be gained in just slowing things down so that you can be in the moment and learn and listen and experience, and then you can go forward, right?
Yeah. Then you can go forward. Yeah. So you don't have to be there for very long, and how long you're there for is just up to you.
Yeah.
But it's there for you to enjoy. We talk about potential, don't we? We talk about where is your potential and where's next. And it's like, okay, so you've just reached a potential point, in your life.
Yeah.
For God's sake, enjoy that for a bit before you then go, okay, what's next? So the next potential is like, oh my God, it's exhausting. And I'm saying this out loud as if I don't do that.
I know we all do it.
And I know I do.
We're our own worst enemy. But it's like that thing, right, of like giving yourself permission. And I mean, I know some people will be listening to this thinking, wow, that's like woo-woo talk. But, if you just take a moment to listen to some of the voices in your head, you'll realize how often you sort of bad talk yourself or negative talk yourself, and just reframing 10% of that internal dialogue to give yourself permission to be positive, to be appreciative, to be grateful. It really does have an outsized impact on your well-being and on your attitude and, how you navigate life.
Well, that's great to hear. So, because we're moving on to takeaways now, and I reckon that is one of your Natasha philosophy takeaways. And, what do you think all these moments have taught you about leadership?
I think that they've taught me that leadership is dictated by the people and the circumstance, and that actually it's an ever-evolving journey. And that's the magic of being a leader, right? It's not a static thing. It's a two-way. It's a multiple way. And, leadership comes at all sorts of different levels. There'll be, you might be leading a team. You might be part of a leadership team. You might be feeding into the leadership team above you. And I think, I guess the lesson that I've taken out of it is always be curious about people and why they're doing what they're doing and what they need. And this is an evolving, like I'm saying this, but I haven't learned this one, evolve your communication style to meet the person where they are. Because I think when you do that, you come across much more authentically. You come across as someone who really cares about the individual. And also, I think that it drives a much stronger connection.
Yeah, and that's also a lot about listening, isn't it? We talk about listening a lot. Really just stopping and listening and hearing what that person has to say and what's not good in their camp and how can you actually help them. But if you don't listen to really encourage them just to speak authentically themselves as well, you'll never get to what that point is that they need help with.
What I always aspire to, and, don't get me wrong, I don't always get it right. What I always aspire to is I'm always open to candid feedback about my leadership. I'm always open to changing what I do. I know I'm not perfect. But most importantly, that's because it's a people dynamic. And the people dynamic is exactly that. It's dynamic. It changes all the time. So I think that's the bit, actually, when I reflect on what I love about being a leader, I think that's the bit that I enjoy most. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't, it doesn't mean that, everything's rosy. You do have to have candid conversations. And I do think being clear is kind. And actually, it's in those moments that you can also have your own aha moments, but help other people to have their own aha moments. And you don't often see in yourself what others see in you. So I think it's really valuable to be open to feedback, the good and the bad.
Definitely. Yeah, the good and the bad. And also, because we're bringing up these incredible women in our daughters, and we're role models for other women in our sphere as well. And we can always rely on our daughters to give us feedback.
Brutal feedback.
Brutal, straightforward, no messing. This is what I want. And this is what's not happening, frankly. Please, can you do better?
And I love that. Like, we wouldn't have it any other way, right? We want our girls to be able to be articulate and, and say it as it is. I just, it'd be really nice if sometimes they didn't say, Mum, what are you wearing today? Or, oh, your hair looks...
Yeah. So we like to finish with talking about what brings us joy in our lives.
Yeah.
And I imagine your daughters are one of those things. But what is it that really kindles joy for you?
I mean, there's some simple things, silly things like sometimes I just love having a really nice hot cup of coffee and sitting on a seat with the sun coming through the window, you know.
Yeah, lovely.
Little moments, actually, or walking down the street, like you said, and seeing the flowers coming up, you know, those things give me joy. But I think I think when I feel really connected with myself is when I feel a lot of joy. And for me, like over the years, I've learned that, you know, the brand values, like what makes Natasha is sort of like creativity, integrity, and perseverance, right? Those are like my three things that I think I know that the red in me will always want to get shit done. And so when someone says, no, it can't be done, I'm like, are you sure? I think there's a way through, you know, I think we can do this. The creativity side is really important. I mentioned before, like I get a lot of energy from color as well. And so, you know, I love going to
and people by the sound of it.
Yes, exactly.
People,
yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then integrity and sort of, you know, knowing when your compass is in the right, you know, just when things are aligned, basically, you know.
Yeah. And also integrity when you know you've done the best that you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 And then the final thing that gives me joy is dancing. I love dancing.
Oh, I did not know that. What kind of dancing? Any dancing?
I'm not like a professional dancer or anything like that. I just love.
I have massive expectations now. My visualization is off the charts.
No, none of that. I just love the freedom of going out with my girlfriends. Like usually once a quarter or maybe every 6 months, we'll go to like a daytime music festival or something like that. And just, you know, just being free and dancing. I love it.
Yeah. So nothing beats that.
And especially now there's so many like daytime parties, you know, that like you're done by 9 o'clock. So you're at home with the hummus and the chips and a glass of red wine. You're like, this is the best. I've got 10,000 steps in and I've had a great time.
Great time. I'm still home by 10.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all loving those. All my girlfriends and I loving that. Well, Natasha, I have to say that to us, you are definitely finally fabulous. I hope you're feeling that too. Well, I think you've been fabulous for a long time and there's still lots more fabulousness to come. We absolutely loved having you on the show today. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. And it's just been so nice to finally, when do we get the opportunity to actually chat like this, right? It's been so lovely to spend some good quality time with you again.
Oh, I'm pleased to hear that. So, no, thank you so much. Much, much love.